Hey, Greg Dickerson here, and I'm out in the field today checking on a couple of projects. Got a mixed use project going on behind me here. And I was on a podcast the other day with a good friend, and he asked me about highest and best use. And as a developer, how do you determine the highest and best use of a property and for a project? And you know, as a developer and investor, you always want to go with the end game. You always want to look at what your end result's going to be and work the numbers backwards from there. So whatever your project is, you got to have an exit strategy, you got to have a after repair value, you got to have a market rent, NOI goal, and you work all your numbers back from there. But when you're doing a development, when you're looking at a piece of land, you know, what are the things that you need to consider in terms of determining the highest and best use? Well, if it's commercial mixed use like you see behind me here, you got to look at the vacancy in the market, the demand in the market for rental units. The ground floor can be office or retail or restaurant. So you want to look at the area, you know, can it support that use? Can it support the space? Is there a demand for that space? And is there a demand for the units? And the way you determine commercial demand is you look at rooftops, right? So if you're going to have an office or a restaurant or some sort of retail, you got to have some rooftops in a close proximity to the property that's going to be the clients and customers that are going to frequent that business or that office. And even when you have a lot of rooftops, doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a demand for commercial space. You got to look at how much other commercial space is in the area. What do the vacancies look like? What kind of tenant mix is there? If you've got 4 barber shops, you don't want to put another one in there. If you've got 8 pizza restaurants, you don't want to put another one in there. You know, you want to kind of look at the holes and fill the gaps. So it's a strategic play. It's a data analysis type of thing. You want to look at surrounding areas, what the uses are, what the demand is, what the drivers are. You know, what does your population look like? What do they, what is their earnings? What do their demographics look like? How much do they make? What's the daytime population? That's a huge factor in a lot of locations. You know, if there's no daytime traffic, you don't want to put a lunch place in, or a breakfast place if everybody's leaving, a suburban neighborhood and driving into the city to work, then you're not going to get that lunch traffic. You might get people stopping for coffee on their way into the office or something like that. Now, if it's residential, residential can be a whole different ballgame. You want to look at commute time, location, traffic, access, things like that. If you're looking to develop a residential project, whether it's single family, multifamily, condos, townhouses, whatever it is that somewhere people are going to want to live? Is it out in the middle of nowhere? How far is it away from where everybody's going to work? What kind of amenities are around? How far do they have to drive to the grocery store, restaurants, shops, things like that. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg kind of thing, So in order to fill commercial, you need residential rooftops. And a lot of times residential rooftops need commercial in order for people to want to be around there. So it's kind of a delicate balance in a unique mix. The bottom line is build it and they will come doesn't always work. You want to look at highest and best use. So you want to look at vacancies, you want to look at demand, drivers, you want to look at rooftops, and you want to look at existing uses to determine the highest and best use for a property. And just make sure you're smart about it and do your research. Run the numbers, work it backwards, and that's how you do it. So before you start breaking ground on a $5 million project like you see behind me here, you want to make sure that you've done your homework, you've got the analysis, and you know for a fact that what you're doing is going to work, that the people will come. And if you can get pre-lease, if you can get some leases before you start, get it pre-leased, that's always the best. And the banks love to see that, and it's easier to raise capital. So this is Greg Dickerson, and we're talking about highest and best use for a property. And we'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Bye.